This one is evil.
You got it, Peera.
Let's mess up with confidence. I'll be reading 3 chapters from this book. Each chapter has a different song put together very quickly, actually, within a span of 2 days by Peera. Let's give a big shout out. Her mind is just so powerful. You guys, yes. So you guys will be hearing 3 different chapters with 3 different pieces composed over the poetry, and yeah. So without further ado, we'll present the first chapter, "Parting the Veil." The smoke had finally reached the slit of streetlight, beaming through the tops of the curtains. My eyes fluttered between the hazy beam and the texture of the ceiling. I come to, releasing another deep sigh, slowly exhaling a fluorescent smoke that's filling the room. I lay here in my dismal nest, atop mounds of soiled clothes and silverware, until abruptly I felt my solace depart. There is something here amongst the clouds of smoke, a leaden presence skulking in the dark corners. I had not anticipated its return. I feel the cruel wraith rooting in the ventricular tissue of my heart. A cancerous mass formed within the chest. The expansion of my lungs is not enough to move this weight. Its pain is sharp, and I can feel it extending through the skin. I slowly lift my head and I ache, tearing up when I see it. The leg of a palanquin, leaving me with the inability to rise, every muscle and bone in my body restrained, aided by a mystic sedative, an emotion I had long kept at bay. Its chemical components now began to take effect on me. Below the palanquin, which was elegantly constructed from thick smoke, where once were piles of shredded letters and rotting scraps, waves of concentrated memories began lapping in, flushing out the rags molded over from the moisture of tears. The compounds found in these chemical waters began numbing me. Astringent foam poured over my exposed body, barren chest heaving under the weight. This room has grown unfamiliar. From my mouth billows out more sorrowed sighing, grief-stricken. Atop the palanquin, an amorphous figure is cast faintly against the gossamer curtains, masked in procession. This shroud rides outstretched, strewn along a bed of fumes. Blankets and frayed cashmere ends, silk sheets, cushioned velvet pillows, brushing against the edge of the bedding and folding into the powdery fabric. Slow, parting the veil. It rises and peers out into the room, filling with ceremonious smoke, then pitifully stares down at my body beneath it. Its eyes are wide, glowing like before, through that hypnotic glare telling me, my return is not on account of any particular absence. My dormancy was warranted by you, loathsome fool. Since you retreated into your miserable heart, your soul has become a host to loneliness. When parasitic waves have weakened your psyche, you grotesque, pale-bellied bitch, you inadvertently summoned me here beyond the forefront of your hypothalamus, and although you may not have seen me, I have been present. Perhaps you have felt me in your limbic cortex, for during your time spent under love's blinding spell, I had been creating psychic chasms within you. You troglodytes. I now reign, desolation deluxe. Grieve and mourn for me. Thank you. Thank you guys. That was chapter 1. Chapter 2, incapable. I have stilled from fear. Any atheistic thoughts subconsciously coveted by my mind have been banished by this rude metanoia. There must be a God, because I am in the presence of true evil. My hands twitch lightly, transfixed by this overwhelming horror. Flesh to stone, my eyes tense and gaze, applying a primal reconnaissance to the figure before me. I see sadness, but it does not look like before. Its shoulders are elongated, cheekbones taut. It has matured and grown more wicked. In fact, there is nothing I can distinguish from its form. Its outline wavers and shifts in the dark room. I am weak, and the lack of sadness' form breeds fear within me. Lifeless in the grass, stunned by sorrow, eyes straightforward and empty. The same look I gave my lover before they took their parting of me. Then, in a cruel bolt of memory, I realized that this fear-stricken gaze, this surrendering look, was used elsewhere, someone else entirely. My nerves flex from shock, choking on the smoke, fuming from within. As I bring my sight into focus, I look to the hazy figure above me, and for only a second I see her. Mama, I ask in desperate relief. The figure stands silent, eyes frozen in a beaming lock. Do not confuse me with the bitch that bore you, it glared. I tense up and groan, nauseated from dread. The figure phases through the smoke of curtains and then fades into the thick clouds. My eyes pace the room. I waft the last bits of smoke puffing from my mouth. Suddenly, I feel another pain in my chest. This one resounding off a foul frequency, tightly pitched. This is yet another wave of emotion crashing against my frail body. And I am flooded with memories of sweet times spent with my parted lover. Why? I gasp breathlessly. I painfully curl my body into fetal position, feeling the divots in my body, divots that had formed around their embrace, grooves aching to be filled by my precedent lover's warmth. I open my eyes to reel in pain, but as I look, I choke teary-eyed at the sight of their sweet face, irises replaced by that of the Shroud. Please, I beg of you, change your wicked form and leave me. The Shroud laughs deeply through the face of my beloved, who left me, whose affection I can now only trust in memory, whose love I cannot keep within borders, whose heart ran wild, apart from me, whose final words ultimately read as unkept treaties told to please the Fae. I cannot bear this sight. I am incapable. The third chapter. Ready? So, chapter 3. Into the palm I wept. My eyes held wide, showed me an incapacitated daze, until I noticed that the shroud had disappeared. Helplessly, I clamber across the room, until mid-stride I'm burdened with a strange vision. I became the odious neonate, hallowed sacrificial calf, covered in the blood and mucus of my mother. Shivering, dripping with membrane, brought to birth by grief and misery. My knees and ankles buckle as I lunge for the door. As I sit in a paralyzed hunch, neck crooked and forcefully turned, eyelids forced open. Across the room I see the Shroud, oscillate through their forms, shining eyes endless with gloom, until it blinks and takes form in a graphite silhouette, opaque against the drifting smoke, taking form as the one I had been attempting to communicate with telepathically, crying out to for help in the void of my thoughts, her body illuminated by the glowing light cast by her irises. She slowly looks up, spotlights beating across the floor, to present me, your child. I lock sides with my mother and go deep into a trance, sitting trapped and forced to face this. The Shroud takes its slow strides towards me. The face of my mother is just like before. her lips curled downwards, forever presenting her dissatisfaction. Why would it take the form of my mother, I asked myself. This was the only thought that could slip through my fearful paralysis, soon deserted when I realized she was standing right next to me. Sadness overcomes my helpless body. With my eyes forced open, I began sobbing violently. Snot bubbling and dripping from my nose, my breath became strained, my body shaking in brutal turbulence. The shroud bent over, bringing its eyes leveled with mine. It began to speak through the voice of my mother, saying, "Weep into my palm, child, and I will reveal your sorrows." Okay, thank you guys. Those are the 3 chapters that start off my book, Shroud. Please pre-order it. I'll put the links everywhere so you guys can see them and read them back. So thank you guys for listening for that. Awesome.